As society begins to reopen here in the local area throughout the state of Michigan and restrictions have been lifted, our business community starts its recovery phase, and that is not limited to any one area. That's all throughout Oakland County and the state of Michigan, and including in the Berkeley area as well. We're pleased to be joined now by Darlene Rothman. She is the executive director of the Berkeley Area Chamber of Commerce. Darlene, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So how are you, and how's the team over at the Berkeley Chamber of Commerce?
We're doing great. We're thrilled that things are opening up again and moving forward with events and our businesses, people coming in and visiting, shopping, eat, dine, entertainment, and things are on the horizon going forward.
So Darlene, coming out from under the restrictions such as the capacity limits, the mask mandates, and so on, these businesses had about 9 days fewer than what was expected with the previous My Vax to Normal plan, which would reopen the state's economy outside of these restrictions on July 1st. How did that affect their adjustments and their preparations? Were they able to make that in time to really kick off strong when things reopened here in the state?
The businesses have tried to monitor and try and stay one step ahead, hoping that things were going to be opening up at some point soon. So I think they've used their time wisely to prepare. So even with it opening up, most of them jumped on it as fast as possible, and we're thrilled to be able to move forward sooner.
For most businesses, but particularly for restaurants, the capacity limits with the restrictions in place that were really taking the biggest toll business-wise throughout the pandemic. And so, Darlene, as businesses are reopening, we're of course in the middle of a staffing crisis as well. How has that affected these businesses, particularly the restaurants, and their ability to go back to full capacity? Are they at that point yet?
It's challenging. I mean, they as far as running their business, they know what they're doing and are doing great. The staffing is the biggest problem that they're all having. Some have had to adjust their hours accordingly. I know sometimes they might have to change days that they might have even been open to adjust to it, but for the most part, they're really trying to keep open as much as possible. Some have gone to having outside seating that they previously might not have had, and the City of Berkeley opened up opportunities for them to make exceptions on the fly, and that has helped them immensely because there's still a lot of people who don't want to eat inside. So whoever could put outside seating has put outside seating there. They're just, and clearly their costs of doing business have gone up. Just the food that they're buying, the time frame of getting things, that's another staffing problem. Getting the food, the raw food to them, is another side of the staffing situation. But they're all trying to stay one step ahead of the game, and the city is trying to open the doors to whatever opportunities they can to make that easier. It would help everyone across the nation, of course, if the staffing situation could be more full.
Darlene Rothman joins us on the Oakland County MegaCast. She is the executive director of the Berkeley Area Chamber of Commerce. And Darlene, let's going back to the situation with Berkeley, providing some exceptions for outdoor seating for some of these restaurants. Earlier on in the pandemic, we saw a lot of those exceptions being made in many municipalities, but especially in areas that do have more of a walkable community, whether that be in local areas here like Keego Harbor, in our main coverage area, but also in walkable communities, and they're busier walkable communities generally like Berkeley, Royal Oak, Ferndale, Birmingham, and so on. Are those exceptions that have been made by these municipalities, or in this case, in Berkeley specifically, does the Chamber of Commerce expect those to be continued even after the pandemic, albeit maybe not in as great of a capacity as it has been during this emergency?
we are having strong conversations about that. And clearly carry out in the last year and a half has kept a lot of businesses afloat that don't have the opportunities to do outside dining just because of restrictions on where their property is, things like that. Carry out has been an enormous factor to help all of those. Yes, there are conversations to extend. The immediate is to extend out the exceptions for a year. And we're actually starting the conversation of it being much more than a year, but they're looking into feasibility studying of what the situations are so that there's a more permanency to it. So those conversations have already begun very seriously, and we're hoping that it changes the landscape of how the restaurants are in the community.
So,
Especially Berkeley.
on the conversation of carry out with restaurants, I know in the real heat of the pandemic, a lot of restaurants had exceptions where you could even take alcoholic beverages to go with you, which is a lot of times something that you're not able to do at
Social
restaurants.
districts, yeah.
Yes.
Yes. So, how does that look moving forward? Was that completely just a situational thing, or do you think we're going to be seeing more of that as we move forward with being able to get a cocktail and take it to go with you if you don't finish it?
I haven't heard that specific topic discussed in Berkeley. I know certainly there were businesses that were doing that, where they were pairing up a bottle of wine recommendation for the foods that were going out or cocktails. I haven't heard that stopped, so I believe that that's continued because, again, there's a lot of people are more comfortable being out in public, eating indoors, but there's still a lot that aren't, and the carry-out business is strong. So I can't say officially that has been extended, but I would guess it is at this point.
We're joined by Darlene Rothman on the Oakland County MegaCast. She is the executive director of the Berkeley Area Chamber of Commerce. And as things are coming back to normal, and we're also seeing many of these traditions that unfortunately had to be canceled or postponed or done away with during the pandemic start to come back as well. And that includes Berkeley's Street Art Fest, which was canceled last year due to COVID-19. It's going to take place this year. It will take place on August 7th. What can people expect at this year's Street Fest?
Well, as each week goes by, we're able to bring more back than we thought we might when we had the discussion in February about bringing it back. We're thrilled that event is approved, and it started as a chalk contest, and that's still the essence of what the Berkeley Street Art Fest is. And it is for all different levels of artists they purchase a chalk square. There is a contest, and there's different levels for the contest. And then there's semi-professional people that come to participate. This year, we're highly encouraging families to participate, people in the community to participate. Over the last year and a half, even with all of us walking, I was doing a lot of walking. I saw a lot of people doing chalk on their sidewalk at their home. And so it's become something that people were doing at home. And so we really are encouraging that aspect of the Street Art Fest, in addition to the people who have become chalk artists in their right, and most of them do it as like a side thing. Not all of them do it as professional chalk artists, although David Zinn has been one of our key feature artists. I don't know for sure yet if we had to change the date of the event. It was normally in July, now it's August. So we're in conversation with David Zinn. If you Google chalk artists in Michigan, 90% of what you see will be David Zinn. And we actually have 2 of his permanent drawings in Berkeley, and he might be doing a permanent one 2 days before the event, and those details are being worked out. What's new this year is we are having a Shop for Good event also. It's the first of its kind in Michigan, And this is vendors who a component of the wares that they sell is going to the good. Vitrine is a store in Berkeley that Susan, who is the owner, is very involved herself with vendors that are doing things for good. Not all of her vendors are doing that, but she works with a lot of these people throughout the year. She works with third world countries that they're helping out. So all of the vendors for the Shop for Good, we are actually looking to put the word out about artists that have that component. Clearly, the turnaround of this event revolving is in a shorter time frame than in the past years. So if there's artists that are looking to participate, they can sign up right now at Berkeley Street Art Fest.com website. So some of them are tied in with social issues. Some are fair trade artists. Some help people that are at risk or underprivileged, and they're ones that are helping locally and globally. So this is a different kind of component of the Street Art Fest that we didn't have before. And we specifically have artists in the Shop for Good in that special genre, because on September 11th, we have our other major event in Berkeley, which is the Art Bash. And that has been going on for, I believe, about 20 years. And those have a separate set of artists. So we're not competing with our own event with similar artists that would be going to that event. And that sign up's already live also. So we will have music. There's a new business called Pinspiration on Coolidge that is going to be doing outside program geared, I believe, more towards kids. So any of our businesses that can have people come in, they're welcome to do. We obviously want the Coolidge in Berkeley will be closed that day for this event. So the chalk artists are right in the street. The Shop for Good is right in the street. We're going to have food trucks and food vendors out there. So it's really a family-friendly day to come out and enjoy the community and have fun.
We're joined by Darlene Rothman on the Oakland County MegaCast. She's the Executive Director of the Berkeley Area Chamber of Commerce. And Darlene, as we're getting closer to the August 7th date, how long do artists have to apply to be in the Berkeley Street Art Fest?
It is live right now, and I'm looking to see, they probably have a couple more weeks to sign up for the Shop for Good. I'm looking to see if there's a deadline on the site. So I would say we would be looking probably into mid-July to finalize the artists. And we also know it's a challenge for the artists because they didn't have any events to go to last year. And now the amount of events that they might be able to go to is now condensed into a shorter time frame. But again, this is the first time a Shop for Good situation is actually happening in Michigan. So we like to appeal to those artists that really have that extra dimension of doing things for a cause or helping like a third world countries, something that has that really where it's helping for good component. And that's a growing appeal for artists to be doing what they do, but also helping others.
We're joined by Darlene Rothman on the Oakland County MegaCast. She's the Executive Director of the Berkeley Area Chamber of Commerce. The Berkeley Area Chamber of Commerce holding their Street Art Fest. It's returning on August 7th. That'll be on a Saturday from 11 a.m. until 5 p.m. And Darlene, anything else you'd like to discuss or anything else interesting happening in Berkeley that our audience should know about?
Well, I mentioned also the Art Bash, which is September 11th. We also have Cruise Fest, which is the day before the Woodward Cruise, which is in August. And that is, if anyone's interested, they register through the Parks and Rec it's a parade of about 400 cars. And that's been very popular. Clearly didn't happen last year, but this is the 25th anniversary for Cruise Fest. We're actually going to have a t-shirt for that we always have a t-shirt for the Cruise Fest, and those have become collector's items, but this one will be certainly one because it's the 25th anniversary. There's also a few ladies' nights out that are happening. There's one happening in July, and that's through the Berkeley DDA. Things are just happening all over the place. One of the things that we're doing different, because we always want people to come from all over to participate in the Berkeley Street Art Fest, but everyone has become more in tune with their own community and supporting their community. So another aspect of the Street Art Fest is we're actually going to have yard signs that people can purchase showing that they're supporting the event, but it's also a way of getting themselves and their neighbors involved in coming to this family-friendly event. And even though part of it's a contest, most people are doing it because it's a great outlet to have fun. And really that's what it is. It's a fun day to spend in Berkeley. And there's a lot of businesses that maybe not everyone knows about. And this is a great day to come this day and any of our events, any day to come. And there's also murals that are started from the Street Art Fest that there's several of them in Berkeley. We'll be pointing out where you can see them. I'm actually in one of the facilities called Folio Offices, and there's 3 murals in the back, and we're looking to hopefully have another one painted here this year. So there's things to see throughout, and we certainly obviously support the arts.
Again, the Berkeley Street Art Fest returns to downtown Berkeley on August 7th from 11 a.m. until 5 p.m. Darlene, thank you very much for joining us today.
Great, thank you.